Hey, everybody. It's me. I don't really have anything to say at the moment, but Ben has stepped away briefly. He will be back and we will get the show on the road. But for now, it's me and I'm going to just vamp, I guess. So if you're watching, thank you for joining us. I hope you are having a fabulous weekend so far with whatever you're up to. I have not been up to anything terribly exciting, but nothing wrong with that. Listed some stuff on eBay, and now I'm trying to peel stickers off of a thing. Um, Part of me is wondering now if Ben is just fucking with me and he's watching me try and fill space instead of actually doing what he said he was going to go do, um, which would be hilarious for him. But yeah, nothing too exciting. So yeah, we'll see when Ben wanders back. Here's my Fortnite arcade cabinet. I'm trying to get stickers off of to use some of those wonderful shelf presence decals on. I bought some different ones off of Etsy because they had some cabinets that Shelf Presence hasn't done, and I was not impressed with the quality of the prints, and the stickers were not cut. So if I'm going to use them, which I'm not even sure if I want to bother, given how poor the resolution is on them, uh, I would have to cut them myself, which obviously doable, but it's nice to not have to. So I don't have to figure out the best approach. I know they recommend heat to get these stickers off, but then I got to get the heat gun out. I'm not going to do that on a stream. So I've been trying Goo Gone, and I've got my handy scraper, but I don't want to mar up the plastic over much. I thought I had one of these, the plastic razor blade, but I guess not. So it might be worth trying to track one of those down. But yeah, that's me doing the thing. Nothing too terribly exciting. All right, well, this, I'm sure makes for very compelling viewing. What else? Anything exciting, interesting, or recommendable? I think if I've seen anything or read anything lately that I've really been enamored with, but not particularly. But weather's starting to warm up here, which is nice. I don't mind it. We're at right at that window where it's like, might be a little too warm, but not terrible. Um, then we're gonna dip down then next week. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, go for a walk today probably. Putts around here. I'm playing a whole lot of Helldivers 2. If anybody else is doing that, I got lots of time in on there. I gotta try and unlock all the stuff from this new War Bond. So I've been grinding super samples and medals with my pals in the evenings. Try and get all that cool stuff. We're still trying to get our shit together enough that we can actually do missions on Suicidal without getting completely rocked, which we did not succeed at last night. But I feel like we had a member of the a team that we don't usually play with, and I think we got a little cocky. So we all died and did not complete the main objective or get out with the super samples. But I don't even know if we ever found them. I don't think we did. Anyway, that was a bummer. But good morning, Super Spike. Thank you for joining me. In case you haven't been watching this entire time, well, I've just been talking to myself. Ben is around. He will be along shortly, and we will get the prepping on the road. I hope you're having a good weekend so far, Spike. And I don't know if you're playing Helldivers, but if you are, it's so damn good, isn't it? Yeah, just keep peeling labels here. I don't know. I just find it hard to believe that the heat gun's going to do so much more with these labels than Gugon and elbow grease, but maybe it will. I'll have to try it because I got freaking 12 of these to do. Yeah, it's really good. I want to unlock that grenade pistol real bad, but I need to get the medals for it. So, because that's kind of my jam. Though the new Eruptor is really good, and I'm sure they'll probably nerf it. But it's a grenade sniper, so that suits my playstyle pretty well. I got to figure out. I wish there was. I don't know. I just don't like the machine pistol very much. It just doesn't. You burn through the clip way too fast. So I don't know. I'm torn because most of the stuff that I gravitate towards has pretty slow rates of fire or reloads. So if I get surrounded, I get screwed real quick because I can't use a lot of my stuff close range. I am hoping that at some point here we're gonna get actual like melee weapons, swords or clubs or something. That would be super fun. Yeah, I like the autocannon a lot. If it wasn't for the backpack, I really like to use, especially against the bugs. The shield generator pack is really nice because they can't slow you with their goo as easily. And it's handy to have just a little bit of extra survivability against any enemy. So I'm loath to give up that back spot, but if the spear actually freaking worked, I'd probably be using that all the time. But it feels like they nerfed the spear, and it doesn't fucking target anything. So, welcome back.
Sometimes when you play the game of coffee, you lose. What were you talking about?
Helldivers 2. It's a PlayStation game.
Yeah, I'm well aware of Helldivers. I forgot you dig that game. That you're
oh yeah, I mean I'm playing too much of it probably. The guard
dog is nice. Matthew.
The guard dog is nice, Spike. I do like it, but on higher levels, especially like with teammates around, it's just as destructive to them as it is to you. So, like I used it hard for a while, and then I just kept like killing my friends, and now I've got one friend who still uses it all the time, and it's like, no, don't bring that. And with the gunships, I have found, at least with my loadout, I tend to bring the Quasar cannon a lot, and you can usually one or two shot the gunships if you can hit the engines. But those gunships are a pain.
I've heard that game is really, really good.
It's intense.
It's like a extraction shooter, right?
Yeah, it's a shooter. It's like timed missions. So you get in, you accomplish your tasks, and then you get out before the extract timer runs out.
Makes sense. Matthew, how are you? I know I just saw you yesterday, but how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right. I didn't grill yesterday because I just didn't feel like it. I'm gonna grill today. Yeah, I took like a nap, and I came out of the nap feeling less rested than when I went in, which was like, this is not what I wanted. So yeah, instead doing it today, and hopefully I can convince Cassandra to want to watch a little try out Fallout, because I really want to watch it.
I've heard good things, but have not watched it. We don't have it's on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I might have Prime for another week or so because they gave it to me on another thing, but I don't intend to keep it. So,
well, I mean, you would be able to fit the whole series in because it all dropped at one time.
Oh, I also don't know if Danny would be into it or not. So,
everything I've seen about it makes it seem like it's very much one of those things where you can jump in without a ton of knowledge and just like enjoy it. Plus, I mean, like, I will watch Walter Goggins read a phone book. So,
oh sure. Hey, Shaggy.
Shaggy. what I wanted to talk about today are a couple things, like twofold. Number one, we're going to do Star Wars on the 22nd, but it's not going to be Scum and Villainy group. It's going to be what I'm now referring to as the Hidden Path group, which is our Jedi. I've got Nate, James, Colin, and Ryan for sure. Ryan and Colin will be making their own Force users, and we're already well aware of. Nate, it's Bree Boombu, and James's Duolingo. That, and I want to talk about Chaos Scar. Let's do that first, because I'm more or less here with Chaos Scar. I just want some feedback, and if there's anything people see like, hey, you really need to this isn't going to work, or you really need to tighten this up.
Right.
What are you blow drying, Matt?
I am heating up stickers on this Fortnite arcade cabinet so I can put different stickers on there. But this process is annoying.
Oh, I bet. All right. So for tomorrow, got 4 players. The idea is that, I mean, if you've been watching this show for a while, you know that at one point the PCs were with some treasure hunters, and things went awry as they do. And in the end, the PCs threw a bomb into a portal after them and then closed the portal. So they had a pretty good idea that the main guy and some of his crew did not perish. I've been slowly dropping hints of that. So what's going to happen is a box will be sent to the PCs. And unfortunately, their handler, Hoosh, the lizard man, will open it. And there'll be nothing in it. It's a real fancy looking box. Some investigation will lead to the fact that there's a symbol inside the box that they'll need Jefferson or someone in the Inner Bailey to tell them what it means. What it contains is 5 ghosts of people they've killed with that explosion. And so early in the morning, they're going to be awoken to sounds. And when they go downstairs, they're going to find their buddy Hoosh getting beaten to death.
Jeez.
They'll have to save him by people they know from the town. It'll be Gelda and Bosco, the 2 merchants. Bosco they don't like, and Gelda they do business with, who's the old lady. Which makes it even funny, the idea of if you've seen Where Evil Lies, there's a moment in that movie where you watch kids slowly killing a lady and they're hitting her, and you're like, that's the worst because their hits are kid hits.
Yeah.
It's going to take forever as they're dragging her into another room, and you're like, oh my God, that's horrible. But I want it to be kind of more rather than that, I want it to be more like that flick we watched Thursday, Spike. More kind of Evil Deadish than Where Evil Lies. And so there'll be 4 people inside the house. There'll be a 5th outside getting ready to set the house on fire. So they have to beat these people and not kill them. Because if they kill them, and they'll recognize that there's something distinctly wrong here. So they'll find the box, Hoosh will have the box, gripping it tightly. Inside there'll be a note in children's handwriting that says, you took from us, now we'll be taking everything from you. So when they eventually go to sleep, because they'll have to, these things are going to attack them in the dream. So each one will be attacked in turn in the dream. And I'll do the flip stat thing because I really like that. that all your mental stats become your physical stats in the dream world.
Oh.
I've used it before and I really like it. So they can find them in the dream, which will tell them like more about who they are and what they'll need to beat them, because I gave each ghost a different thing. Actually, chat helped a lot with this. So there's 5 ghosts. There's Tith Hoots Trumbull, who's an Owlin thief. They don't like light. There's Terran Shortstack, who is a gnome arcanist, who wants magic stuff. So they can literally give up a magic item for him to inhabit, and he'll inhabit it. Because he's just greedy that way. Galen Fitz. They have to like to get rid of that ghost. They literally have to take 3 rounds of damage without responding.
Oh.
Then there's a bard named Foster Brown. They can use music to get rid of them. And then there's Herthrus Backfire, who is a Dragonborn cleric. They can use gold to basically tempt them out of the body. There's that. So they beat them in the dream, like kind of tells them like, oh, okay, these are. So in the dream, like Galen appears as like this bloodthirsty warrior. No matter how much you hit them, they never show damage, which is an illusion. So like this is to kind of give them an idea what they're facing in the dream. So then they'll have an opportunity. They can go talk to Jefferson Headley Wiseman, and Burwitch, and Jeff will have some information, kind of give them, steer them in the right direction if they're struggling. They don't have to go see Jeff. That's fine if they don't. But the last act is the bad guys will possess 3 of the main leaders, and they'll start an open riot against the Inner Bailey from the Outer Bailey. So they're basically going to stoke the already tense stuff going on. And basically the pieces are going to have to figure this out like fast, or the Inner Bailey military will just come out and squash this, which means death for a lot of innocent people. Yeah. So that's kind of what it is. It's kind of a short, very contained, like 2-day event, 2 to 3 day event. So yeah, that's kind of what I got. Ideas or things where you're like, oh, this might be an interesting thing you haven't thought of.
I like the setup here. I mean, it's great.
I like the idea too of like a kid's like being involved, and then you're looking at this kid and they're like, what are you doing? The kid being like, what are you doing? And then going, I'm gonna fucking stab you in the liver. Like, oh God, what's wrong? Why are your eyes weird and your voice changed? Kind of like the whole Exorcist thing. I like that like idea of like and also like I just have this image in my head of like when they drive the ghosts off the first time, of one of them being like, see you soon. Like if anyone's seen the movie Fallen with Denzel Washington and John Goodman, and I can't remember who else is in that. There's a vibe of that, because it's like a guy jumping by, like a thing jumping body to body, possessing people, committing murders. There's that in that movie, which also kind of like The Hidden, or any of those movies where it's like that type of shit. That happens in Shocker. Some. I love that, like the bad guy is a body hopper.
Yeah.
Okay, so ideas, things you guys like, things you don't like.
I mean, I do think it would be, an interesting bit to have, like, yeah, the ghosts will like let the actual person be in charge for a second during like traumatic shit. So all of a sudden,
oh, that's a good one.
It's the actual person and not the ghost, and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?"
So we're gonna say if the possessed individual takes more than 50% of their remaining hit points in a round worth of damage, their actual personality will reemerge and beg for help. And I do want it to be more like Evil Dead rather than like straight horror.
Yeah.
You're good, Ash. You're good, Ash. I'm bad, Ash. Goody little two shoes. Goody little two shoes. Because this could go very horror, and it's going to be hard for me not to want to go there. Because that's my default setting. But I want to make this more of a nasty but fun thing. So I'm going to have to really. That's why I like this idea of someone going, like, Gelda's an old lady. Let's say you just punch her in the face, and she's like, "Why? Where? I was in bed. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Help! Help! I can feel it inside. It's trying to." Yeah. Maybe even like, okay, real quick. When possessing an individual, I'd like to give like a one physical characteristic that very much shows that they're possessed. So for the Owlin, what would it be? Like their darkness, like that's the thing. It's like they're not like they don't like light. So what would be a good way? Like the eyes go fully black, or
let's see here.
because I don't want it to be like so overt, like their nose becomes extremely hooked. Right. But I want it to be something like. Like I'm thinking for the Dragonborn that they're constantly belching and a little bit of smoke's coming up.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, depending on how crazy you wanted to get about it with, I don't know, can owlins turn their heads around?
Yeah, they're just an owl person.
Well, there you go. Do freaking Exorcist with it. Spin their head around all the way.
I like that. They are able to turn their head in the same way an owl would. 270 degrees. Or as I know it's 270 because I just watched a thing about it the other day. It's 270 though, not 360.
Yeah, they can't spin it all the way around. They do have to stop at some point.
Yeah. What about the gnome? I'm thinking like with the gnome, that's too reactive, not proactive though. The fuck? I hate when this does this. It's weird. Like, won't let me format. All right, so I need one for the gnome. I need one for the human fighter. I need one for the human bard. For the bard, they whistle.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just have them whistle or hum
an off-tune version of. Should we just use the Farmer in the Dell just because it's so much in line with like what was that? What was the show that everyone talks? The Wire.
Let's see here.
In the Dell. This is a compulsion. All right. So for the fighter, a crack in the sky. In a merrier world behind.
What would a fighter have?
Or the Gnome Arcanist.
I guess with like the fighter, maybe they could develop kind of cauliflower ears and like really like callous hands and knuckles and stuff.
Or a visibly broken nose.
Yeah.
Broken. Okay, that's perfect, Matt. What about the gnome?
Yeah, that's a. I mean, it sounds like it from what I'm just seeing about the gnomes as a race or whatever. They're generally pretty, intense and vibrant and whatever. So maybe this one just keeps like giggling.
What if their hair turns shock white?
That could be something too. Yeah, yeah.
So I become obsessed with the song "The Czar," which is in 4 parts. It's in the Usurper, Escape, Martyr, and Spiral.
Okay.
It's an almost 11-minute song. It's so good. It's prog metal, and it's so fantastic. Especially when it hits the last part, which is spiraling out from the crack in the sky, leaving the material world behind. Oh, it's very Metal Floyd. Also, the song is technically about Rasputin.
Oh,
it's the whole album, which is called Crack in the Sky, is twofold. It's a concept album about a paraplegic in the future, basically astral projecting back to the time of the czars and trying to warn Rasputin about what's about to happen.
Okay.
It's also entitled Crack in the Sky, sky being spelled Skye, because it's an ode to the drummer's sister who committed suicide when she was 14, whose name was Sky.
Jeez.
There's some really rough stuff in it.
Yeah.
Like there's a line in the song Oblivion where I tried to dig a hole in the ground. I lost breaking my fingers, breaking my bones and my nails, which apparently actually happened. That at one point, while being on substances in their youth, they went to their sister's grave and tried to dig them out.
Jeez.
It's really sad.
Yeah.
The album's great. Which I've forgotten how many of their albums are concept albums. You know, like the album Leviathan is basically about Moby Dick. And the song Blood and Thunder is literally about killing Moby Dick. So yeah, it's pretty great stuff. The album, I think it's, what the hell is this album called again? Emperors of the Sand is about like a guy going out and being cast out into like a desert looking for his death. It's just great stuff, man.
I'm gonna be right back.
You don't get to leave, Matt. Only I get to run to the bathroom. Only I get to use the bathroom.
Un momento.
Shaggy, Spike, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully well. Hopefully your weekend has been good. Hopefully your Sunday will be restful. Colin sends his heartfelt hellos. He is just tired. He's tired out. Our friend is all tuckered out, so he's not going to be with us today. Ooh, oh God, you got the trifecta of Chicago stuff going on today, huh?
Yeah, Cubs, Bulls, and Blackhawks. Jeez.
Oh my. So yeah, there's the ghost. That's basically it.
I dig it.
All right, well, let's get out of that business then. All right, Star Wars.
Sure.
I never know when and if you're going to return, Matt.
I don't know either. I'm not against the idea, but yeah, it's just I've been so not. It's not the time. But 1 sec.
Matthew, what have I told you? You don't get to leave. All right, so since we're basically operating two different groups for Star Wars now, we've got our scummy boys. Yeah, I saw your pictures. That sounds amazing. Woo! After pizza oven experiments, tell me more.
Right.
Yeah, that sounded great, Shaggy. Very, very cool. I saw your picture of Moxley. That was awesome.
I didn't know they were doing anything in the States.
Windy City Riot. Moxley won the IWGP title, so he is the first ever Grand Slam champion. He's the first person to ever hold the New Japan, WWE, and AEW world title.
Damn.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
I think AEW basically can swap out the WCW world title. But what are you gonna do? All right, so I've got to figure this out. I've got 2 weeks. So I kind of decided to go with a very Star Trek thing.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about this on our walk, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm going to get rid of all this because this is all stuff that does not play into what we're doing with this group. And I don't know who Ryan and Colin are playing.
So you'll be...
Yeah, Colin was possibly going to come on this morning and talk about his ideas. And I did reach out.
Okay.
And you were right. Because I did get a, yeah, you hurt my feelings. I was like, I feel really bad about that. So one thing, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. So I am not always the best at illustrating tone and tenor of what I'm looking for. So that can be a struggle as someone who's like supposed to be. I'm over against talking burned up pizza. Pizza in general, I'm down to talk about. It's not always easy for me. Like has pointed this out a few times. It's not always easy to read tenor and tone online.
Yeah, it can be a challenge.
And because, I have to do a lot of communication online, especially about games, since it's,
it's just the easiest way to.
Well, and also, I mean, like, I don't go anywhere, so it's not like we're going to
talk in person. Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you come for a walk or whatever.
Right. But even then, it might have, whatever issue you're dealing with might have been festering for who knows.
Plus, I have a tendency, personally, we're cool until we're not cool. And then when we're not cool, we are not cool. That's just my personality. And when we're not cool, I generally just am like, all right, if that's how he wants it, that's the way he gets it. When you're like setting a game up, I find it sometimes hard to express like what kind of tone and tenor do we want, because we sometimes people will want to play something very humorous, but that may not at all be what everyone else wants.
Yeah.
And that can be really hard because, I mean, if you're the person running, you got to be like, oh shit, how do I get this across? At the same time, that other person may not want a serious game. They may want to be like, I want to goof off. Or they might be a player, and we all have these players who they are great for the reason that they keep things moving. Things slow down and they push something forward by doing something you don't expect. And that can be fantastic. The problem with that is it also can be an extreme hindrance, because they can do that in ways that end up pissing other people off. They can decide to do something for the sake of doing it that ruins shit for other people. So I try to hit that off I try to nip that in the bud. Doesn't always work. I wish I was better at it. But there's a certain reality involved in it too. So when someone brings something like I want to name my character Poop Ferguson, and you're like, well, it's not really not that type of game, that's a hard conversation to have. And what I've learned, I should probably have learned much earlier, and I'm still learning it, is to have that conversation privately and not in front of everybody. Because not everybody will be like, I'm just fucking with you, let's go. Somebody will be like, oh, I really had an arc for Poop Ferguson.
Yeah.
Like I posted a video in the D&D chat about that, where it was like these guys talking about their players, and the last guy to talk is like, I want my god name shit something. I can't remember. And they're all like, fuck you. Why are you doing this? You ruined the last campaign and all this. They go on and on for like 3 minutes. Then it says like 8 months later, and the character is like, you have to go on without me, and like sacrifices himself, and they're like, I'll never forget shits. He's the best of us. It's that whole thing of like, yeah, but if you're good, you can make anything work.
Yeah, you can make.
For me, I think it's hard for me to make it work when I am like not running just one game, and I can get kind of like. Sometimes I need the players to immerse me. I don't need to always immerse the players. I need them to kind of get me out of my own head. So it's a hard thing, and I think sometimes we establish that at the beginning of a game, but if people die or things shift or whatever, it can get lost in translation. So yeah, I think that's like what happened with this particular case. But you have to always be aware of the feelings of other people who are involved in the creative process, and that is the mistake I made. And don't do that don't walk in my footsteps of mistake. Walk in your own mistakes footsteps, because it's always surprising to me in a bad way how I can say and do things that I don't think about in the capacity of how much they're going to hurt someone's feelings. And they do, and then like I then have to be like I am an asshole.
It sucks. It's good. I'd rather know than not that I was being an asshole.
Yeah, no, I'm always glad when someone calls me on my bullshit. But I will be honest, I don't always read it that way because, like, I come from a background of where people are kind of harsh to each other at times. Like, my wife will tell the joke when the first time she met my siblings, they literally were getting ready to go out and have a fist fight. My sister and my brother, because my sister said some shit to my brother that he didn't, which was funny because he talks more shit than anybody. But she got tired of it and she called him out on something and made a comment that was fucking cold-blooded. And he was like, "Oh, we're gonna go out in the, we're gonna take this shit to the streets." And her response was like, "All right, you little shit, let's fucking go do it." And then my dad interjected himself and said, "If you two don't shut the fuck up, I'm going to beat the shit out of both of you." And this is like, they're both adults when this happened. Like, that's just my family. Like, those who are left. They don't really do that shit anymore. Sorry, I dropped a whole bunch of tools on the floor. So I'm trying to get a bag to, like, I dropped like literally 30 sculpting tools on the floor. Because I bought a sculpting tool kit for like $9 and it had like 40 tools in it. And I just realized the bag it was in ripped.
Oh no!
I realized it as I picked it up and everything fell out of it. Did you just Lex Luger me? Oh no! So anyway, so I'm used to that like interaction even today, and some people aren't, and they don't like that. And oh god, one of those just poked right through. Holy shit, that thing is sharp. So like I'll do that and I lose track. Like I don't, and the other thing is I always forget too, I don't want to be that person who does that. But I still do it and it's not cool. So yeah, like just be very aware. Like the tone and your tone and tenor may not be
it may not be received the way you
and it also might be something that's completely foreign to others. You know, like I'm generally, I mean, Matt, you can probably speak to this more than I can since you're seeing it from an outside perspective. I feel like I generally do okay. Like I'm generally pretty socially acceptable, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm generally tolerable.
It's tough. Whenever you're communicating online,
but I can, like, I am well aware and can. There are things and times and moments where I am not. I am just very like cut and dry, black and white. You know, very inflexible. And my inflexibility can also come off as just being straight mean.
Yeah, and you know that it's worth thinking about where that inflexibility might be coming from or what it means for you, because a lot of that stuff does come.
I can be prickly.
Either comes from a place of experience. You know, you've been hurt or let down or whatever, so you're not, you don't want people to do that again. But in doing it, you're keeping good things from happening. There's just it can be, there's a lot of things that people do that isn't necessarily like good for them or others, but that come from a good place. And it's important to try and understand like what the root of that is, and then you can try and like shift it and keep it in a positive direction. Because the root of it is, yeah, you want to help yourself or protect others or whatever. and it's just the way in which you're doing it, or the intensity with which you're doing it, is not great. So,
well, I've often said this. I have a default setting of being a dick, of just being a very like black and white thinker, being I don't know how to put it other than that. Just being,
yeah,
just even to the point of like sometimes like if you don't know me, like I would get this all the time in certain job settings, like you look unpleasant. And I was like, no, I'm at work. Like I don't have to fucking smile for you. Like you don't pay me enough to, like I'm here to work. I'm not here to make friends. It's not a fucking popularity contest for me.
Yeah, I got that at jobs. I thought Matt was kind of a prick, but it turns out he's just here to work. Not
yeah.
be friends
So
with
like
people.
that, but that also can just be my default setting. So I have to work to be to be outside of that, which is kind of really depressing to say, but like with my friends, I don't have to work as hard at that, but at the same time, I still have to be hyper aware of it, because when I'm unhappy or dissatisfied or whatever it may be, that setting comes back real quickly. I can go right back to being, inflexible. And I know I do that. Like I don't need people to point it out. I recognize that. And sometimes when they point it out, it just makes me do it even more. Just because I'm obstinate that way. But so anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, I always have to remind myself, and I'm glad I have friends who remind me of it, that there are people who are creative, who are putting just as much into what they're doing as I am, who are looking either for fun in a different fashion, or who are in a different headspace at that time, whatever it may be. It doesn't. I mean, you don't have to explain it to me.
Right.
Who, especially in the early AM, when I have not fully fully become a human being, that it probably is not a good idea for me to respond, because I tend to at that point be very like blunt.
Sure.
And sometimes my blunt is a hard pat on the back. And sometimes my blunt is a baseball bat to the back. So, is what it is. But I need to be very cognizant of that. Because then sometimes after that happens and someone expresses or doesn't express their displeasure, because that's another thing. It's cardinal sin. If I ask you if everything's cool and you're like, yeah, I guess, and then it's not, fuck you. Be honest with me. But like when people are, then I go to them and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry if that, that kid. And so that's the other thing I'm trying really hard not to do. I'm sorry if that offended you. Because that's
don't do that.
just a shit.
Yeah, I know.
Instead of saying, hey, I'm sorry.
You're such a pussy piece of shit.
Yeah. Instead, trying to say, and this is how I did it this time. I was like, which I was happy I did. Hey, I'm sorry that I was super blunt about that. And like wasn't like open to hearing another person's perspective. That's not cool to me. And I will try to be better. I'm really sorry. That's at the time I even put in that conversation, at the end, when the person responded with, okay, I guess, I was like, now I just feel bad. Do whatever you want. But then that just comes off as like, I'm just giving up. It's like, all right, child, you have whined enough. You have whined enough. I don't give a fuck.
Or it's like, fine, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, we're still pissed at each other, but I'm not fighting you anymore on this. Like that doesn't help.
So,
yeah.
No, that's almost like passive aggressive.
Yes.
And so like instead trying to be like, I think I just need to like slow my roll when it comes to that. I don't know.
It's important.
I'm trying to figure it out.
I mean,
because I do not like hurting my friends. I do not like knowing that they walk away from situations going, "Wow, what? Wow, just really." I don't like that. I don't like when my friends don't read the room, but rather than being like, "No,"
right,
or like, "Fuck you," just being like, maybe having that conversation away from everybody and going, do you think this is the best option?
Well, or even just like, hey, I like what you're trying to do here.
That feels dishonest when I'm like, I like what you're doing when I do.
Well,
not
sure,
like what
you don't, but or like, well, this doesn't really fit with the tone of the game that I'm trying to do. Is there what can we do to get shift this or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
You have to come at it from a place of like, let's have a conversation rather than.
And that was the hard thing too. Was like, what I realized afterwards. The hard thing was the realization. Was like I thought at the time by putting down like, here's the 3 reasons why this is a bad idea.
Sure.
Which was like, there's other players.
Yeah.
This is a streamed game. And 3, like doing that is going to in some ways just grind things to a halt at times.
Yeah.
Those things all might be true.
Sure,
but when
it's in how you position it, it's in how you explain it.
When you're like, hey, don't ruin this, is basically what you're saying without saying it. It's real dickish. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's something that it's hard, and as someone who runs games, I can step on that a lot of times. I try not to, but I fail just as much as I succeed at it. So I'm really lucky to have friends who will accept apology and are willing to see past like that failing, and who are willing to make adjustments. And I try to be just as accommodating. I hope that makes sense. I hope that like was somewhat helpful.
I think so. Before we get back into the prep here itself, I will once again be right back.
Oh, damn you, Matt. So I want to use for this Zeltrons and Rakatans. So for those who aren't knee deep in the Star Wars, here's what the Rakatans look like. They're a super old species, and they might be the first Force users in Star Wars. They also were like the first big bad guys in Star Wars. And they had a massive empire, controlled the universe. And then they had a plague that wiped a lot of them out, and they all of them that survived lost their ability to use the Force. So, yeah, that's something that happened. And I want to use the Zeltrons, who are like super hedonistic. They all are hot. They emit a pheromone, and they're all always about like just getting down with the get down. So my thought is that this planet, Shugo, was a Rakatan outpost, all the way out in what was the unknown regions before it was even called the unknown regions. And they used the Zeltron as slaves. So the Rakatans used hyperspace, but they had to use the Force to make it happen. So when this group lost their ability to wield the Force, they couldn't leave. So they've been stuck out here for hundreds of thousands of years. And the Rakatan populace just dwindled. They're still a Rakatan populace, and they've mellowed because the Rakatans were very much conquerors. But when they lost their Force powers and realized there was far more Zeltrons than there were Rakatans, they fought for control, and they killed more of each other. And now there's a small amount of them who are there, but like are more like monks, I guess, than anything else. Like, but they are not like the power. But the Zeltrons have turned this whole thing into like a hedonistic paradise, more or less, out in the middle of the unknown regions. But they have no way to leave the system.
So it's totally cut off. Like nobody knows about this place.
Well, that's the thing is Jarek. That's the last place Jarek was. So when they have to emergency jump and the nav computer doesn't work, it takes them. They basically have only one option: go to the last spot on the nav computer, which is this planet Shugo. And I'm gonna basically kind of allude to the fact that Jarek had been there numerous times to basically hit the Rakatans up for information about like the Force and history and everything else. So they were used to him traveling and showing up there. But like the Zeltrons are kind of like, I don't see a reason to leave. And the Rakatans are like, I'm going to say Jarek basically lies to them and tells them like, oh, you can't go back. Because if you do, like the thing that killed your people and stole your ability to interact with the Force, it's still around. It'll kill you, which is not true. There's just not very many Rakatans left. So, these they go there, and it's basically one of those things where there's information there. They can find out about kind of the origins of like the dark side, more or less, because the Rakatans kind of were, even before the Sith race, were kind of the OG dark side users. In fact, some people postulate they may be what caused the dark side to exist.
Oh.
That they kind of corrupted the Force. Like they are also called like the Ancients. They are the reason there's all this shit. The Rakatans, and I can't remember who the Rakatans like went to war with. Long ago, Rakata ruled all known galaxy. All the known galaxy, all species bowed to us. They were called the Builders.
Okay, I remember them somehow.
Did you ever play KOTOR?
No, but
they're mentioned a lot.
One of those things, you pick up.
They also are tied to Dathomir.
Okay.
I think they're the ones who destroyed the Celestials. Also, they were cannibals. They used Force-based hyperdrives. They're responsible for the Infinite Empire, which was like thousands of years long. I'm trying to remember what happened to them, if there is still remnants. Oh, they devolved into barbarism and they forgot how to operate their own technology. Which, I mean, it's super cool, like, that they existed. So like, yeah, even in I think they were still around. Yeah, so I'm going to say that this is at least still around. But like even Sidious and Plagueis were always like looking for ancient history tied to the Rakatans.
Oh. Yeah, a lot of that pre, the whole Old Republic era, I do not have a good.
Well, also it's kind of like trying to figure out what's canon and what's not.
Right.
Yeah, they were created for Knights of the Old Republic.
Okay.
So anyway, I want to use the Rakatans in that. The Zeltron are, like I said, they're just like this super hedonistic, pheromone giving off race of super hot individuals who are constantly looking to, they like derive, I can't remember if they derive like power off of stuff like that. No one I remember. Like they kind of feed on it.
Okay.
They can like read and feel the emotions of others.
Okay.
And and because of that, like they hate negative emotions. So they're constantly looking for pursuits that are influenced by pleasure and joy. They looked upon monogamy as quaint but impractical practices. So yeah, I like this idea that like the Rakatans are there, but they're almost seen as monks, and like the Zeltrons stay away from them because they bring bad vibes.
Okay.
And then I'll have some things like that. There's like, the Rakatans do like ceremonial things, like where they have like armed combat between them, and the winner gets to eat the loser. But they still like cling to some old things. They don't know why.
Right, but it's just
Maybe it's because I've been reading Commandy. That whole idea of like Lost Path. But anyway, I want the PCs to get there, and that's will be the meet cute between them and the two new players, which I kind of want to encourage Ryan and Colin to play Force users who are not Jedi. There's a long list of other groups that use the Force. I don't know. That's the way we all done it exactly. We're always at the loser. That's just how we do. But I want to like that's another thing as being like to say, oh, this group's been out here on the Outer Rim and has lived here. I mean, even if one of them, like I was hoping I could talk Colin into doing the whole like, oh, your character's been out here, keeping an your order's been keeping an eye on the Rakatans. Just out of fear that one day they would
they're good.
Ability to rule the Force would kick back on, and they would be like, "Oh, we do remember that we want to rule all of you at all times." So yeah, that's kind of where it is. Like this is the problem I find with Star Trek in general, though. I don't always see where the conflict would be here, or if this is just merely a meet cute.
Well, it's it's an environment that
because also I want to present it in a way like the PCs could see this as like this is maybe a base of operations in the unknown regions.
Well, I mean, are there Rakatans who want to leave regardless of the Force and who still have that drive? Because is that going to be a concern where it's like, oh, we're here, we have the means to leave?
So what if the Rakatans, you get to a certain point and you can do one of two things. You can continue to fight to remain in the monastery, or you can take the long walk. Which is basically like the Judge Dredd, you walk into the cursed earth thing.
Yeah.
And one of the older Rakatans is like, I want to take the long walk, but I want to take it off the planet. If I'm going to die here, why not leave the planet and die where our ancestors died? And then the adventure could stem from like on one of the moons, there's a Rakatan outpost where old Rakatan technology is still like on life support.
And
this guy could take them there, or girl, or non-binary, and somehow awaken their ancestral memory. And then they're like, oh, well, fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, if there's, or even just like maybe
is that too tropey?
I don't know. I mean, well, you could have it be that they're like not even like immediately like, oh, I'm gonna be evil, but just like, oh, I can use the Force again. And everybody else has been giving you the like, well, this like if this race has access to the Force again, we're all screwed. But this, I mean, they've been living for thousands of years outside of that. I mean, they've still got some of that environment, but it's not like they don't live it every day. So maybe this one isn't going to be immediately just like, no, screw it, I'm going to conquer everything.
See, I'm thinking more like they get a chance to see like what their people were ahead of time, like in the past.
Yeah.
And they're like, your peoples took this from us. You caused this, and then you left us out here to you couldn't beat us, so you poisoned us.
Yeah.
And you stole our birthright. That's kind of where I'm thinking about it. Almost like Wrath of Khan-esque.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to think on it some more. I got another week. But that's kind of where my brain is with it.
Oh yeah, I don't think that's a bad way to go. And yeah, giving the players kind of the like, okay, we don't know that this person is going to be bad.
No, and that's the thing. I think when they get there, the Rakatans have forgotten so much that they don't even realize that. They just know that at one point their people stretched from one end of the known galaxy to the other. They had a great empire, and that a calamity happened, and they don't even know if there's Rakatans left besides them. And that at one point their people, they ushered the and they look at it as they ushered the Zeltrons here. And then at one point, because of this thing, that their numbers dwindled and the Zeltrons continued to just do Zeltron business. And now they vastly outnumber them.
Yeah.
And that the Rakatans, also like they recognize like our great society even here fell because we were cut off from the Force. Like they know that.
Yes.
So they adopted new ways, which were possibly just the oldest of Rakatan ways. And they still do some of that. I don't know. I'll have to think about it some more.
Well, I mean, they can look and see like, oh, well, we could have still maintained control, but we, didn't. We stuck to our nature, and it ended up destroying us, or close to it.
Interesting. I'll have to think more on it. I'll say this head is a banger.
Oh yeah, that's a great head. I like that a lot.
So is this.
Yeah.
I want to repaint it and keep the red. Like I even also thought about doing this.
Oh yeah.
I have to figure out what color I would want to paint the head.
Yeah, I suppose it would depend on the body you're going to use it on, potentially anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Matt, where can people find you doing Matt things?
I'm here most Sundays. I'm over on the Dave Wonder channel doing Chop and Chop every other Tuesday.
Have you chopped anything super cool lately? Has Dave chopped anything super cool lately?
What has Dave been working on? I mean, I've been all over the damn place lately. I haven't had any like real super long-term fun projects that I've been wrapping up. I mean, this is mostly existing figure plus a head I bought on.
Who is that? Is that Dakin?
Yeah. So it's kind of a mishmash of his various looks, and then I'm working on some other stuff. But
is he now dead, or are they doing the Laura Kinney? He was dead for a little bit, but he's not dead now.
He was back for a while. I don't know if he's.
Well, I know like Sabretooth killed like all the Wolverines.
Oh, okay. I haven't been keeping up with the Wolverine book at all. So Maybe
Yeah, for his birthday. Apparently, Sabretooth like somehow found other Sabretooths, because that's the thing Marvel does now, where it's like you just gather yourself from all over the multiverse now.
There was a bit of, I do remember there was a bit of a thing with that. I wasn't sure about it, then I lost track because I don't read Wolverine.
Yeah, he showed up and like on Wolverine's birthday, apparently, like he always does to kill people Wolverine loves, and like he killed everybody.
Okay, cool.
Like Quentin Quire, he turned into a weapon. That does look pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, that doesn't sound that good, but I guess I'd have to read it.
I have no interest in it. Yeah, I don't find Sabretooth that interesting, I guess.
He's intermittently interesting for me, but yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I know it's just me, but I sometimes find Wolverine frighteningly boring.
Oh yeah,
at times.
He absolutely can be.
Which is weird because I like the Juggernaut, and the Juggernaut can be one of the most boring one-note characters. But I think it's more because the Juggernaut has always felt like guy who peaked in high school bully.
Yeah,
he's Biff from fucking Back to the Future, but he's also become a Biff who's kind of been like changed. Yes. And I can never tell if it's because he loves Black Tom Cassidy in a way that they never are going to say, or if it's just that thing where he's like making amends for being a shitbag.
It's implied pretty heavily in the Krakoan Age stuff that there's on there.
Finally, that they.
But it's never been explicitly stated. I don't know if it ever will be, or even more heavily implied than it has been.
Or maybe he's just bisexual because he has slept with She-Hulk. Thanks, Chuck.
Yeah. Austin. Yeah. Well, they ended. I mean, not actually She-Hulk, I don't believe, but.
Oh, they've retconned that completely?
Well, there was a whole. I mean, because Dan Slott really didn't like that.
Well, no one should like anything that Chuck Austin did.
So when he was writing She-Hulk, he had a whole deal where all these people were like, like the Scorpion got arrested, and they're like, no, this isn't like, that wasn't me.
Yeah. What happened to the Scorpion?
He's still around. But so he's like, no,
that was the female Scorpion.
Oh, she's still around too.
The one who was like mother was a member of Hydra.
Oh, her. She hasn't
who may have been a daughter of Bruce Banner.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to her.
I liked that character.
But it was this whole deal about like there was they called themselves Universe A, and they didn't have any superpowered people over there, but somebody over there was smart enough. Their Reed Richards invented a way to come to the Marvel reality, and when you were there, you would kind of take on the form of your counterpart. So there were all these people coming through and being like rolling the dice and being like, oh, maybe I've got powers over there. And it ended up that was the She-Hulk that slept with the Juggernaut.
I've read that whole run and I do not remember that. That's awesome.
It was a big elaborate. I mean, it was a bit. The whole naming convention was just a big elaborate way to talk about a-holes. The holes from Universe A.
It's fair. Yeah, that was a great run.
Oh yeah, and I loved it. And Slott's Thing run was great too.
Yes, yeah, those are maybe Cassandra's 2 favorite runs. Matthew, have you watched Elysian Dungeon yet?
No, I have not. I hear it's good.
Matt.
I'm still trying to keep up. I'm barely keeping up on Bad Batch and X-Men 97.
Oh, did you catch up on that yesterday?
I did watch 97. Yes, I haven't watched Bad Batch yet.
How was it?
That was. I was not expecting that to go that way. Did it have the straight up E for Extinction? Oh yeah, it was absolutely E for Extinction. Yeah, they I mean, as the episode went on, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what they're doing. And then they went even further with it, and I'm like, oh, okay.
X-Men 97, a speed run of 20 years of continuity.
Yeah, I mean, I guess get caught up so they can, do whatever they want. I'll be curious, I'm wondering though if because they're speed running, the intent is to get to something like Krakoa, so that mutants can come back again. But
I also think they're doing that because they want to get up to a spot where they can run concurrent to the From the Ashes era. Because that's basically a hard reset.
Yeah.
Which Disney got to get their ships in order since we're gonna get the X-Men in the MCU.
Maybe. I mean, we'll see if the MCU limps along that long.
Oh, I think it definitely will.
Well, they got to right the ship. The last few things have not been lighting the world on fire. My interest level is very low, but
yeah. I mean, there's stuff I haven't even seen yet. But then they'll do something like Werewolf by Night, where I'll be like, "Oh, this is tremendous."
Oh yeah, I mean, Danny and I watched Echo, and it was solid. I mean,
I haven't watched any of that.
It got to MCU at the end, and I'm like,
that's the problem. With all that, it was like Luke Cage. All like first 9 episodes of season 1 are fucking awesome, and then the last 3 episodes were like, we should have stopped.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be very curious to see how the new Daredevil series goes.
I am interested to see what the animated show after Bad Batch will be.
Yeah, they haven't announced it.
There's been a lot of speculation that it'll be the Hidden Path.
Okay.
That will get Rex's clones rebellion will slowly be beaten, and we'll see where a bunch of these Jedi escaped to, and that it'll revolve around Rex and the clones and Asajj Ventress and Quinlan Vos.
Could be.
I saw one person said, "Will we finally get Kyle Katarn?" Because that's the era he pops up in. Because he starts out as a stormtrooper.
Yeah. Well, and here we go. They could do throw in some Dash Rendar.
Yeah. That'd be amazing. I really do think doing a Clone Wars style show. One thing I loved about Clone Wars is it was you would get all these different arcs where other characters would be the focus. Besides Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka. I would love that for that era of Star Wars where it was the dog times.
Well, and now at least with
I don't know why my Obi-Wan sounded like he was from New England.
They've
the Empire remembers.
They've made it up to Jedi as far as the Marvel books go, so that continuity is established for your main cast.
But that's the thing they've done with these things is they're not using the main cast, which is
right. So they can work it, but they can work in around that, and at least it's okay. Well, we know what everybody was doing.
Yeah, I want to know, and see that's the thing. I want to know what Rex was doing
because you end up with that, the because of the one throwaway line in Revenge of the Sith or whatever, they established that Anakin and Grievous had never met, so they had to spend all the Clone Wars series keeping them apart.
Which is the dumbest shit ever. It just makes it seem like Grievous was ducking or Anakin was ducking.
Yeah.
And as much time as Obi-Wan and Grievous spent on screen together, it's well, how and Anakin and Obi-Wan spent on screen together. Yeah. It's almost like Obi-Wan was cheating on one or the other with.
Well, you'd think at some point. I mean, not specifically, but Obi-Wan might have mentioned there's this robot guy, and he's about this big.
Yeah, and he's off in Jedi. He's got 8 lightsabers, guy.
Yeah.
You know what else I hope they bring back if they're going to do this, which is all speculation, is I would want more Dirge as well.
Dirge has popped up in the Bounty Hunters book.
Yep.
Now. So
I love the fact that Dirge is basically the Michael Myers of bounty hunters, or the Jason Voorhees of bounty hunters. He's basically unkillable.
That's the there's a new. You're just reminding me because it was in the latest issue of Amazing Spider-Man. There's a new character around Hallows' Eve.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it.
Her power set is super fun.
Yeah, I've kept a little bit of a finger on the pulse of all that, so I knew that she was with Chasm.
Yep.
And the whole like Goblin Queen Chasm.
Yeah, they're back now. There's the Goblin Queens involved, but it was like
I like the idea of like the two people who were clones of other people were able to like kind of see that in each other and be like how heartbroken it was to like, have your whole life destroyed because the other person comes back and it says, I want my shit back.
Right.
I mean, it's a terrifying like imposter syndrome idea when someone is like been in the books long enough to become an established character and then to find out like oh, all this is a lie. You're not that person. I mean, it's such a mind fuck. And I could see because of that why both of them are like, no, I want my fucking life back. And it's cool to see that Chasm couldn't give that up, but Madeline Pryor could.
Yeah, she had a big heart to heart with Jean, and they worked through it. And
I think eventually Chasm and Peter will have that same thing. But I like the idea that she and he were still like a couple, and that she like basically get her powers in order to like stay with him.
Pretty much, yeah.
But from what I've heard, they're like not together right now. I don't know.
Because Chasm has been imprisoned in the Limbo Embassy in New York, by Madeline Pryor, and he just escaped. Madeline let him go because she's like, of course I could have stopped him, like, but we needed, let him get out there and whatever. So he's now teamed up with Queen Goblin, who is Dr. Ashley Kafka, who has
she was with she was like banging Norman Osborn.
Well, that's what the fuck was her name? Anyway, no, this is Dr. Kafka, who's been around in the Marvel or the Spider-Man books since before the saga.
She worked at the Asylum though, right? Ravencroft.
She was like the head doctor at Ravencroft. But when the Sin Eater shot Norman and his sins got like blasted out of him, they ended up going into her.
Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with this.
Yeah. So now she's teamed up with Chasm.
Because Spider-Man like absorbed all the sins, right?
Yeah. So now she's teamed up with Chasm and Hallows' Eve we'll see, because she claims she can give Ben back his memories. So
interesting.
Yeah, Hallows' Eve, I just love that power set where it's, here's my Don Post monster masks.
It feels very feels very Dan Brereton.
Yeah.
It feels very Nocturnals, which I love. I love Nocturnals. So I wish that occasionally he would dip his toes back into that.
Yeah, he's not really doing anything that I know of. I mean, I'm sure he's working, but not in comics if he is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always interesting stuff. I mean, it's never enough to draw me fully back into comics, but I like to get a feel for what's going on, so I can be like, oh, that's really neat. That's interesting, and then be able to go, I don't care. Anyway. You can find me here tomorrow. Chaoscar. It'll be good. Got a good group. And then let me grab my calendar. Mega on Tuesday. I don't know what I'm working on. And then Wellness Wednesday. I don't know if we're going to keep doing it or not. I'm trying to convince James to do Heel Turn Radio again, but it would be HEAL. And we would take all the ideas of stuff we always wanted to do and do those as segments. like we would do a segment where we talk about wrestling. So we would like try to convince you, Shaggy, to be our wrestling correspondent. And then when we do a segment of Boldly, I have a bad feeling about Boldly Going, which is the thing we wanted to do where we were going to alternate watching Deep Space Nine and the Clone Wars from the beginning. Hence the reason I have a bad feeling about Boldly Going. Just weird stuff like that. I was like, let's do some of that, and then we'll have it hour long. But we'll like keep ourselves on a timer.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll happen. I don't know. But then after that, it won't be till next Sunday. Prep school. And I'll probably be finishing up some Star Wars. For the 22nd makeup date for this month. Doug has already said that his birthday game is Mount Monsters, so Matt and I have to finish that up. I'm very excited, especially because like there's so many possibilities.
Oh yeah,
especially now after seeing the Dark Forest and the Black Wolf and the Black Wolf and the Woman in the Woods. Black Wolf. That's the Black Wolf. Yeah, we're knee deep into some shit on Mountain Monsters now. So yeah, anyway, like James made the mistake of asking how yesterday's Mountain Monsters viewing went. And I was like, do you have 45 minutes of your life you never want to get back? And Sarah was like, I do. And then we talked about like whether Bigfoot is a psychic emanation of past arthropods, of previous versions of upright Homo erectus, or if they were like vibrations from alternate Earths type of thing. I was like, I never thought about that, which was a super fun conversation. So yeah, also, Matt, I don't know if I've talked to you about this before we go.
Yes.
This is not the best looking fucking Tila of all time.
It's good.
This figure is so fucking great.
I'd have to see it in person, but yeah, it is like really good. The Gentle or the Mondo 12-inch one also looked amazing. But
also, this game,
nice.
You have this figure, right?
Is that the ultimate one?
Elkhorn,
the box one, not the, because I don't think the
NECA.
I don't think the LJN toy style one is out yet.
Well, this is the full 5-inch
badass. Because in hand with the Warduke and Strongheart Ultimates, but painted.
Yeah, it goes with them. It's in that same.
Right, but no, they've got the new ones now that are painted up like the 80s figures.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not. It's the Ultimate.
Right. One. No, that one's. I love that figure. That's great.
That figure is amazing. It's so perfectly.
Yeah.
Like everything about it. Like putting that backpack on, I was like, the fact you kind of have to figure out a way to slot it directly on, and it just, oh god, what a great design.
No, it was. And he comes with so much fun shit.
Oh geez, he's got a goddamn jug.
Yeah.
He comes with a jug. A jug.
Yeah.
He could be a goddamn jug band man.
Could be. I'm sure that's not what he's using it for, but
that second head is amazing. He comes with like 10 hands, more weapons and shit than you can shake a fucking and KGAT. It's just, I mean, like literally, like just in front of me on my desk that I can see. Here's 3 other things that he came with that I can't put on his body right now.
I think the short axe.
He's got a sword and 2 different hammers on him right now.
Okay. Because I put
it's wild.
Yeah, I put the little chopper axe on his backpack.
I put the shorter double-headed hammer.
Okay.
But I mean, you could put either one on there because they're both fucking amazing.
They got to put more stuff in his bag.
This. I mean, for fuck's sake. I know they were a little pricey, but god damn, they're worth it.
Oh yeah, the value's there.
Ugh. If they were falling value too, just scooping them up to get all the stuff off of them. I mean, my God. So yeah, that's what I got going on. Matt, if you ever want to come on Tuesday and hang out and do some inspiring work, please do. I don't know if I showed you this. So I was doing this, I was almost done, and the paint flaked off on the soft plastic.
Oh no.
Because it looks pretty good otherwise.
Yeah, I think it was great.
Just hadn't got a chance to seal it yet. It was like that was like a month ago or 2 months ago. And it literally has left me kind of like I don't want to do anything.
It just kills your momentum.
I was working on this guy too. He's not done, but it's all speed paint. And he's looking pretty good.
Yeah, that's coming along. Yeah, I wish I had anything super exciting that I had done of late. I stole Dave's recipe for Lord Deathman, but
that looks great.
Well, yeah, there's no paint on it at all. It's just
that looks fantastic.
Yeah, I mean,
that's great.
Yeah.
Kudos to both of you on that. That's an amazing looking miniature. I'm dude. I don't know.
That you still need to go in and either paint over or remove the Cobra Kai logo on his back, but
I mean, hey, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, it worked. All right. I don't know. I'm having problems ending this today. Matt, take us out in my misery.
All right. Ben's gonna grill. He's got a roast, I think. He's gonna make into chili or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go upstairs. I gotta cut it up, and then I'm gonna heavily season it, and then I'm gonna sear it, and then I'll let it cool down. And then when I'm ready to make chili this week, I'll take the seared meat out and I'll chop it into little 1-inch chunks.
Sounds like a real tasty chili to me.
That's how I love doing that, man. Crock pot.
All right. I'm probably going to grab Danny and we'll probably go for a walk, and then I'll come back home.
Man.
So yeah, that's our day. Shaggy, Spike, thank you as always. And anybody else watching, thank you as well for watching. I hope you all have a great week, and check out Ben tomorrow with the Dungeons and the Dragons. Maybe not in that order, but
just to blow this in everybody's heads, think about this. I'm thinking about adding a Hollow Earth to Kaskar.
Does Neil Adams live there?
Oh, Matthew. Woo. All my idea is like there's a piece of the shard from the Chaos Scar, and it's the sun underground.
Nice.
And then this, giant remains of one of the cities that the scar, that the giant meteor hit is. So there's now like a giant abandoned city underneath the ground full of dinosaur. I get to do dinosaur.
I should lend you the Neil Adams Batman book where Batman goes into the Hollow Earth. I mean, it looks pretty. All right.
I don't know. I'm
go play with your meat.
Bye.